My name is Marg Simons, and I've been a member of the Ometepe Gulf Island Friendship Association ever since it started. Now, I'd really like to tell you how it started. Ron Pither from Main Island and George Harris from Galiano Island went down to Nicaragua, and the war was still on at that time, and this would be December of 1987. And they visited Ometepe, and they met a mayor of one of the communities, Altagracia. It's the biggest community on the island. And they asked him what their most pressing need was on the island. And he said, potable water. The infrastructure of the whole country had broken down. The American blockade had really taken a great toll on the country. So on Ometepe, the pipes were all broken, needed repairing. The generator wasn't operating. They had a little generator in the hospital, and that was the only one on the island. And they were really in quite a bad state. They realized the need of the water was the most important thing, and they came back to Canada and decided that they'd like to make it known. Well, Ron Pither doesn't waste any time. He phoned the ambassador to Canada from Nicaragua and asked him if he would like to come and meet the people in the Gulf Islands. And he said, oh, yes, I guess maybe the best time would be when your member of parliament is next going to be there. And so he got together with our member of parliament at the time, and they arranged to come. That's when Ron Pither phoned me and said, can you help me? The ambassador is going to be coming to Salt Spring Island. I had no idea I'd been to Nicaragua or what the whole story was about. And so I said, well, what help do you need? And he said, well, the ambassador is coming next Sunday. Well, he said, we'll have to have something in the newspaper. Well, we had about 1 day to get it in the newspaper that this was happening. And he said, and we will need to have a place to have it. So could you organize that? We've got about 5 different groups in the island that were willing to help with this. They were all social justice groups or church groups. And so we got a little ad in the paper. And by the day of the event, the church basement was just packed. And so the ambassador was very, very surprised. He gave his talk, and we discovered that all sorts of other things were going on. Like there's a group of Americans in Bainbridge Island, and they're also twinned with this island, Ometepe. And so they were invited to come too. Ron really put himself right in the middle of things and said, we're having the ambassador, come on and meet him. It was decided that we'd have a potluck supper. So when the potluck supper happened, he got up and gave a little speech, and he said, I've never been entertained like this before. In Ottawa, a few people might turn out if I'm going to be giving a talk, but here in Salt Spring, this is absolutely amazing. And so the plan was then that the next day he would go to Main Island, where Ron is from, and the following day they would go on to Galiano Island, where George is from. And so that was his visit. And from then on, there were teas and there were auctions and luncheons, just all sorts of ways of trying to raise money. And then one very kind gentleman said he would like to give $10,000. So this was a lovely beginning. And we went to Save the Children Fund and asked them if they would be interested in taking part in this program, bringing water to Ometepe Island in Nicaragua, and they were very interested in helping with it. And so they said if we could raise a little more money, then come back to them, we could make an application and they would double the amount of money. So we raised $12,500 and they did the same. And then they went to CETA. And at that point, CETA was into water projects. The communities were all, of course, the water was going to be for them, and they were really wanting to take part in it. So our friendship grew because of this. And many of us visited the island. And I guess that's the way we started our friendship.